Hello, I'm Richard Seltzer. I'd like to share with you my favorite book, The Wizard of Oz, which I self-published 46 years ago. I'm going to read to you the new, improved, and expanded edition which I just finished writing and which is not in print. I'll make a separate video for each chapter. The original edition had illustrations by Christin Couture. This is the final chapter of the book. I'll show you one of those pictures at the end of this video, and I'll do another video in which I'll explain how I came to write this story. Chapter 27, Winthrop. They had no trouble finding their way home. Everything was familiar, as if they'd always lived in home, and home was the place next door. As they got away from the dragon, the supernatural effects wore off, and it felt great to be their usual selves. Miss Shelby told Mr. Newman what to expect and how to behave. You're going out into the world now, the real world, and I'm going to be with you when you see it for the first time. Brand new and full of surprises. Oh, brave new world. Miss Shelby had learned all the street names when Mr. Sherman told her at the beginning of the trip. So when they arrived in Winthrop, she told Miss Osborne which way to go, and soon they were back at school. The kids all piled out of the little green VW, and Miss Osborne started walking up the front steps with a torch in her hand. Just then, overhead, they heard an airplane. As the plane got closer, they heard, "Humdrum humbug, beating on his humdrum. Humdrum humbug, beating on his humdrum." Miss Osborne lost her balance, tripped on the top step of the school, and fell. The torch hit the door. The door was ablaze. The building was ablaze. All Winthrop was ablaze. The whole world was ablaze with a fire that doesn't burn. "Out of sight," said Mr. Newman. "Gosh," said Donnie, "everything's beautiful." Mark asked, "Miss Osborne, why wasn't it always this way?" "I don't know, Mark," she answered. "I just don't know." Mr. Newman asked, "You mean it wasn't always this way?" The sound above them changed. It was still a drum, but it was a different beat, a wild dance beat. "Man," said Mr. Newman, "that humbug's turned into one humdinger of a drummer." Miss Osborne looked up toward the sound, but all she saw was clouds, light, fluffy little clouds. She wondered if maybe one of them was Cloud 9. She wondered if Mr. Carroll was still there. The sun came out. Maybe, as Plato said, it wasn't the real sun, but it shone brightly. Miss Osborne stood up, brushed herself off, and picked up the torch. It was hard to stay if it had lost anything in the fall. She opened the blazing door of the school and walked in. Just then Mr. Sherman came running and stumbling and dancing toward the school. "Marvelous!" he exclaimed, fighting hard to catch his breath. "It's simply marvelous! I never believed it could be this way. I came rushing back thinking you'd all be depressed after doing all that you did for nothing. I hoped that what I had learned would help console you and give you some hope, and I'm greeted with this. It makes my head swim, like when I changed myself into a fish." "What did you learn, Mr. Sherman?" asked Miss Shelby. "All I can say is what I thought I learned. I really don't know what to make of this. You see, Mr. Plato didn't tell the whole story, or rather the story didn't have all the answers. No one could hope to have all the answers. It struck me that just a few days ago this very class was enchanted. Regardless of what was going on in the world around them, regardless of what had developed through the centuries, these children were enchanted. Then I realized that Plato's explanation, or at least the way I took it at first, was weighted too much on the side of environment. Enchantment is in you. It's a spark in you that grows, then fades, and maybe it never totally goes out. Lord, I hope it never totally goes out. It's in you. That's what I came to tell you. The fire is in you. You don't have to go chasing to the ends of the earth. It's in you. But now I see this." That is the end of The Wizard of Oz. I'd like to show you one last picture by Christin Couture. This is a picture of the humbug when he's been turned into one humdinger of a drummer. I'll make one more of these to tell the tale of how I came to write this story. I hope you enjoyed the whole book, and please send me feedback. My name again is Richard Seltzer, as in Alka-Seltzer. My email is Seltzer at seltzerbooks.com. All Things That Matter Press recently published 3 novels of mine, Parallel Lives, Beyond the Fourth Door, and Nevermind. You can find those all at Amazon as paperbacks and as ebooks. They can be read in any order. They're independent stories with overlapping theme and styles. Each presents a different view of reality, a different way of trying to make sense of the mysteries of life.